Hello and welcome to season two. Crazy to think that it's season two. I am so blessed for the community we have built with Beauty Behind the Brand and so many connections we had from the last season. It just warms my heart so much. Each subscriber, each listener. This was something that got started during COVID. If you haven't heard our earlier episodes, I was basically bored during COVID. Imagine that. Always listened to podcasts, absolutely loved podcasts. And I always said to myself, oh, I would love to do my own podcast. I kind of thought it was like, who's going to want to listen to me talk or who's going to have value from this? But we threw it out there in 2020 and we had great response. We got on, oh my gosh, some of the people I reached out to, I never even thought in a million years I'd have the chance to even hear back from them on an email or a DM, let alone have an hour conversation with them. So yeah, I think 2023 is going to be a good year. So we took just about a year off, just with life getting back to normal after the pandemic, and also with just the way life has happened. I thought I would just take a year to kind of see what the vision was with what Beauty Behind the Brand meant to me as well as our listeners. And I also wanted to take time in figuring out who I would like on the podcast. So we've got lots of interesting new businesses as well as companies you will actually recognize and companies you might actually even use on a day-to-day basis. We're going to pivot a little bit more into the beauty realm of our interviewing. Last season, we had a great amount of entrepreneurs from the food industry to beauty to innovation, so many different things we had touched on, which also gave us a great scope on what people were wanting to listen to. And the feedback was incredible. So I want to thank everyone so much for following us along and your patience and waiting for us for that year, and hopefully refer this podcast to others and you take something away from every episode. A huge thank you to Danny, our editor, who's behind the scenes. She's back from mat leave. I don't know how I would do this without her, so that's why we also took a year off. So huge shout out to her. She's the behind the scenes of this Beauty Behind the Brand podcast. I'm just a voice. I have the easy job of just having to talk to people, which I obviously love to do, but she's a huge part of it in the behind the scenes of editing, emailing, communications, all of that behind the scenes. So huge shout out to her. I have kind of taken some time to reflect, I think, on this year, to slow down a little bit, the hustle and bustle of 2020 and trying to figure out how the heck we were going to pivot our way in the beauty industry and get through all of this. And having 1 year of normalcy, I think that's also why we took a break with the podcast. We just kind of had to refocus everything with our brick and mortar location, Muskoka Aesthetics, and then same with our beauty line, Muskoka Beauty. So all hands on deck with both of those businesses and growing and developing and pivoting them as well. And I think as entrepreneurs, we also sometimes need a moment to reflect. I can't say enough of that. That was my word of 2022. But do you have a word for 2023? I feel like that's something I do instead of having New Year's resolutions, is I always seem to have a word that I reflect back to. Sometimes I know myself too well. I'll set resolutions like, oh, I'm gonna do an exercise once a day, or I'm gonna go out for a walk, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna eat healthy, blah, 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 blah. I just find it is such a letdown and it's kind of depressing because I know my lifestyle just does not match that and I can't be that consistent day in and day out. But I like to set an actual word for the year to kind of set back, and also your year might change. So regarding 2023, oh my goodness, just crazy to think about. 2023, I quite haven't settled into a word, but when I get that word, I'll let you know. But what do you do for the new year? Are you a resolution person? Does it keep you more accountable? Do you set a word for the year? I'm interested to hear what everyone wants out of 2023. I feel like a lot of people have said this is going to be their year. I love that. I love that people are excited for a new beginning. It's a great fresh start to kick off the year. But also, if we want to talk more about books too, that's something I've been loving, business development books, Profit First. There's just so many that I've been recommended and or I've listened to. I've read on my Kindle or even heard through different podcasts that I personally listen to. And highly recommend. Since we are niching down into the beauty industry, we could have open conversations around how I personally got out of the treatment room, how I've pivoted both my businesses around COVID, things like that. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about me as the host, we could definitely have an episode like that as well. I'm totally open to it. And I have also been on other podcasts, so we can always search them or add the link somewhere as well to help promote other podcasts in our space. But we want to hear from you on our Instagram pages, on Beauty Brand Podcast, as well as our reviews here on social and on anywhere you can listen to this podcast. Your reviews mean the world to us, and it also gets us the feedback we need. So, with that being said, I am so blessed to have all of you listening, the community, every single one of you that just takes the time out of your day to enjoy a episode by us. Let's let's dive into some of these episodes, and I can't wait to hear what everyone's takeaways are and any reviews as well as suggestions. We love to hear from all of you. We do this because of you, our community, and it just is something I've enjoyed so much, building connections with other entrepreneurs, having meaningful conversations, and the behind the scenes, the true behind the scenes of why we do what we do as entrepreneurs, and to show you as well as the people we're interviewing that they're not alone. We are there for them. Sometimes we feel like we're alone, but we're very much all the same when it comes to business. We have our struggles. I know personally during COVID, that was probably or the pandemic, probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life currently. And do you know what? We made it through. We're stronger for it. We pivoted our business. It's better than it's ever been. And I feel like even this podcast wouldn't have started if I didn't take that break, in the sense of the world stopping for us to realize what we truly wanted. So thank you everyone so much. Shout out to Danny again for jumping on, helping us with all the editing, listening to each and every podcast every week to get it live for you to listen to. And let's see where 2023 takes us. So cheers to that, everyone. And thank you so much for everything.